Hi, here we are backstage again. Axl Rose, he's back. What took you so long?
I was just trying to put this monstrosity together.
This man didn't just sing rock anthems, he lived them. From a childhood haunted by abuse to shutting down entire cities with his riots. Meet the real Axl Rose, the story your parents never wanted you to hear. This is not a rock star, this is a revenge story. A kid named William Bruce Rose Jr., who turned Rage into the biggest rock band of all time and became the most dangerous voice of a generation. But how did a runaway teen from Indiana become this? Before the bandanas and the riots, he was just William Bruce Rose Jr., born on the 6th of February 1962, in Lafayette, Indiana town, better known for cornfields than rock stars. His childhood was a battleground. His biological father, William Bruce Rose, abandoned the family when Axl was just 2. His mother, Sharon, remarried a Pentecostal preacher named Stephen L. Bailey, a man whose strict, abusive grip would haunt Axl for decades. Imagine this, a young boy forced to memorize Bible verses for hours, beaten for the smallest mistakes, and told music was the devil's work. But in that chaos, Axl found two escapes, his voice and rebellion. By his teens, he was a runaway crashing in friends' basements, stealing food, and blasting Queen and Elton John records. But here's the twist, that preacher's son stole his name. To erase his past, William Bruce became Axl Rose, a mix of a band he loved Axl and Roses, thorns included. Even his look was a rebellion. That fiery red hair died despite his stepdad. Those snake-like dance moves, copied from Mick Jagger and fueled by pure rage. But how did this angry outcast become the glue of a rock empire? The answer starts with family. Axl's family life was a paradox. The very people who hurt him also shaped his destiny. His mother, Sharon, was his first offender, a woman who secretly bought him a radio to nurture his love for music, despite her husband's wrath. But here's the twist. Axl's stepsister, Amy Bailey, became his lifeline. She introduced him to her friend, a guitarist named Jeff Isbell, who you'd later know as Izzy Stradlin, the co-founder of Guns N' Roses. Without Amy, there'd be no Paradise City. And then there's Erin Everly, Axl's first wife. Their relationship was straight out of a rock ballad. He married her in 1990, wrote Sweet Child O' Mine about her. And their divorce a year later was just as explosive. She once sued him for throwing her down a staircase during a fight. But Axl's most infamous flame, supermodel Stephanie Seymour. Their 1990s romance was pure gasoline, on again, off again fights, lawsuits, and even a pistol-whipped bodyguard scandal. Yet, she inspired November Rain's epic 9-minute video, proving chaos fuels art. Today, Axl's found quieter love. Since 2010, he's been with Beta LaBice, his former assistant, a woman who stayed fiercely loyal through his darkest days. No drama, no headlines, just a bond built on trust. But how did this fractured family tree plant the seeds for rock's greatest rebel? To understand that, we need to go back to where it all began. Lafayette, Indiana, a sleepy Midwest town, where Axl Rose's story began. But don't let the picket fences fool you. Behind closed doors, young William Bruce Rose Jr. was living a nightmare. His stepfather, Stephen Bailey, wasn't just strict, he was brutal. Imagine being locked in a closet for humming a tune, or beaten for smiling too much. Axl later said, "He made me hate everything I was." By 12, Axl was sneaking out to sing in church choirs, the only place his voice was allowed. But by 17, he'd been arrested over 30 times for theft, vandalism, you name it. This wasn't rebellion, this was survival. Then, one night in 1979, snap decision. He stuffed a backpack, hitchhiked to LA, and burned his old name. William Bruce became Axl Rose, a mix of a high school band and the thorns he'd carried forever. In Los Angeles, he crashed on floors, stole food, and devoured records, Queen's Theatrics, Elton's Flair, Jagger's Swagger. Every scream he'd bottled up for years. It was all fuel for the fire. But how did a homeless runaway land on the Sunset Strip and ignite a rock revolution? Axl didn't need a diploma, his education was the streets of Los Angeles. Sleeping in storage units, stealing pizza, and hustling gigs for $20 a night. But in this concrete jungle, he found his real teachers: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. His first band, Rapid Fire, a short-lived project where he met guitarist Chris Weber. But the real magic started when he reunited with his Indiana stepsister's friend, Izzy Stradlin. Together, they formed Hollywood Rose in 1983, and the rest is chaos history. But here's the kicker, Hollywood Rose was broke. They played dive bars for beer money, and Axl's stage was often a pool table. Then, in 1985, Destiny walked in, a guitarist named Tracy Guns. Merge Hollywood Rose with his band LA Guns. Boom! Then Guns N' Roses was born. Record labels called them to raw. Fans called them the next Stones. But Axl, he was done being ignored. GNR's 1986 EP Live at Like a Suicide recorded for $200 caught Geffen Records' eye. By 1987, they were recording Appetite for Destruction in a studio haunted by Mötley Crüe's leftover cocaine. But even then, Axl nearly blew it. He clashed with producers, trashed hotel rooms, and fired drummers mid-tour. Yet, that rage became their sound. As Slash said, Axl didn't sing lyrics, he vomited them. But could this ticking time bomb of a band survive their own explosion? Spoiler, they didn't just survive, they detonated. In 1987, Guns N' Roses dropped a nuclear bomb on rock music, Appetite for Destruction. Critics called it too violent, parents called it a nightmare, and it sold 30 million copies. But this was just the opening riff of Axl's Chaos Symphony. Then came 1991, the year Axl broke all the rules. Use Your Illusion I and to dropped on the same day, selling 500,000 copies in 24 hours. But the real showstopper? The 30-month world tour, a circus of riots, cancelled shows, and one infamous night in St. Louis, where Axl dove into the crowd to punch a fan filming him. Oh, and let's not forget November Rain, the 9-minute epic that cost $1.5 million to film. It wasn't just a video, it was a Hollywood movie with Slash soloing in a desert. And guess what? It's now the most streamed 90s rock song, proving Axl's madness had method. But by 1994, the wheels fell off. Slash quit, the band split, and Axl, he vanished into his mansion, working on Chinese Democracy, an album so delayed, it became a meme. 14 years and $13 million later, it flopped. But Axl didn't care, he'd already made rock history. In 2012, Guns N' Roses stormed the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Axl no-showed, calling it hypocrisy. Classic Axl. Yet in 2023, they're still selling out stadiums, proof that rage, rasp, and a red bandana are forever. But with fame this explosive, what's the cost? Next up, Axl Rose's $200 million empire ran the price he paid. Axl Rose didn't just sell albums, he sold rage as a luxury brand. Today, his net worth a cool $200 million. But here's the kicker, most of it came after he torpedoed his own career. Let's break it down. GNR's reunion tour earned Axl $40 million a year, enough to buy 40 Lamborghinis. Then there's the real goldmine, royalties. Every time Sweet Child O' Mine plays at a sports stadium, that's $40,000 in Axl's pocket for 3 minutes of work. But Axl's wallet isn't all sunshine. Remember Chinese Democracy? That $13 million album flopped, yet he still cashed in. How? By suing his old label for $20 million over unpaid royalties. Classic Axl, lose the battle, win the war. And let's not forget his expensive tantrums. In 2006, he trashed a Tokyo hotel room, costing him $150,000. In 2010, he showed up 2 hours late to a Dublin show and paid for $100,000 in refunds. For Axl, petty cash. Professionally, Axl redefined rock's rulebook. Before him, frontmen were polished. After him, chaos was currency. Bands like Nirvana and Mötley Crüe copied his Us Against the World swagger. Even rappers like Kid Rock sampled his riffs. Love him or hate him, Axl is rock and roll. But what does a $200 million rock god do when the lights go off? The answer is weirder than you think. Axl Rose's life is a paradox. The man who once set stages on fire now spends his days in total silence. His Malibu mansion, a fortress of solitude with 7 bedrooms, a private studio, and a closet just for bandanas. But here's the twist. Axl bought his childhood Indiana farmhouse in 2017 to rewrite his past. He restored it, but kept one cracked wall to remember where the belt hits landed. Even rock gods need closure. When he's not touring, Axl's a hermit. He binge-watches horror movies, collects rare comics, and obsesses over his 80s DeLorean, yes, like Back to the Future. Oh, and he's a cat dad. His rescue cats, Morris and Boots, rule his mansion. But don't mistake quiet for boring. Axl's garage, a $5 million car vault, Ferraris, Lambos, and a 1950s Holly he's never ridden. I just like the noise, he told Rolling Stone. Classic Axl. And yes, he still has tigers, well, sort of. In the 90s, he kept to his pets. Today, he donates to big cat rescues, saying, "They're the only creatures as misunderstood as me." His quirks, legendary. He only sleeps 3 hours a night, eats vegan tacos religiously, and has a phobia of germs, hence the mic stand he never shares. But his biggest passion, basketball. He's courtside at every Lakers game, screaming like it's 1988. But what really makes Axl Rose tick? The answer lies in secrets even his biggest fans don't know. Axl Rose isn't just a rock star, he's a walking conspiracy theory. Did you know he once hired a full-time psychic to cleanse his tour bus? Or that he legally changed his name twice? Here's one for the weird files. Axl sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber to preserve his voice. He also claims he's allergic to sunlight, hence the bandanas. Oh, and his 6-octave vocal range? Doctors say it's anatomically impossible. Yet here we are. Controversy. Let's dig. In 1991, he sued his own band over the Use Your Illusion artwork. In 2006, he threatened to sue Burger King for using Welcome to the Jungle in a commercial. Spoiler, they paid him $2 million to shut up. But the wildest rumor? That Axl faked his death in 1995 and was replaced by a clone. Proof. Fans say his voice deepened post 2001. Axl's response: I just quit smoking. And let's not forget his secret philanthropy. He's donated millions to animal shelters, LGBTQ causes, and even paid off student debt for fans. Why? I've been the villain too long, he told Rolling Stone. Redemption? Maybe. But Axl's always been full of surprises. From the kid who hid in closets to the legend who redefined rebellion, Axl Rose's story isn't about fame, it's about survival. As he once snarled, all we need is just a little patience. But let's be real, patience was never his thing. If you think Axl Rose's story is wild, wait until you hear about the guitar god who declared war on his own fans and won. Click the end screen now to uncover the insane saga of Richie Blackmore's 2025 lifestyle. Trust us, you've never seen a rock star like this. Smash that subscribe button before YouTube buries this video. Hit the bell so you don't miss next week's bombshell. We're exposing how another rock legend faked their death. And comment below, should Axl clone himself for a GN or hologram tour? Let's start a riot in the replies. This video, it'll vanish soon. Click now before the rock gods silence us forever.